Hey guys, it's Appleminte. Welcome back again to my channel, and I am back. I know that I was gone for a little bit, and if you guys remember, I think I mentioned it in my previous video, that I would be going to a anime convention in Washington, D.C. I was at Otakon actually, and that con was so much fun. It was honestly the craziest convention I've ever done. I've done Otakon in the past, like 3 years ago, but at that time, I didn't have as many items, I guess, to sell. So, you know, this time around, I had, I think, like 3 or 4 times the amount of products, like pins and, you know, all my other artwork that I bring. But yeah, everything went really well. And I actually met quite a few people who watch my YouTube channel. So it's always appreciated. It's always when you guys come and say hi or want a picture or whatever. It makes me really happy to meet you guys. Or when, you know, people recognize my art and they're like, oh yeah, I've been watching you for a few years. So that always feels pretty good. But yeah, overall, it was a very tiring weekend. That artist alley has extremely long hours for some reason. They have like 10-hour days and it's just kind of crazy. But overall, it's a lot of fun. So my next convention is in October. So I got a little bit till then. But until then, I am pretty free to be working on different art pieces, which is the reason for today's video. So you'll see, I guess, to give a little context on the video, because, you know, I've been talking about other things. That's what I do. But I started working on this art piece last week because I felt rather inspired just to create art after coming back from the convention and seeing all the artists and their various prints and this and that, and just being inspired, being around other creatives. It made me motivated to draw, which I actually haven't created like a finished piece. And when I say finished piece, I mean something like not specifically for like a video challenge or something, like, you know, oh, the flowers as people and stuff. Yeah, I made those, but they weren't like, you know, they weren't like finished pieces. Like I sat down and I had an idea and did it for my own volition. I guess that's what I mean. So I haven't done that in quite a few months, but I was very happy to feel that motivation again, because it comes and goes, honestly. And sometimes life just gets busy and I fall out of it, and I fall into this creative rut where I don't have any ideas. And that's kind of where I've been for a little while, and that's always really hard to come out of. But going to this convention, like I said, kind of sparked it again, which feels really good to come home and be like, I want to create something. And like, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to draw, but when I don't know what to draw, but I want to draw something, my go-to is to go on Instagram or Twitter, whatever social media. In this case, I was browsing Twitter and just kind of scrolling down and seeing different things. I follow a ton of art accounts, so I just kind of look and I get ideas for themes or color palettes or just poses or this or that, you know, and it usually ends up sparking something. Or sometimes I just go in with like a general idea, like, oh, I want to make a drawing of X character, but I don't know what to do. So that's kind of how this started. I was like, I want to do 2B, and I didn't know what to do with her. And I was scrolling, and I don't know how I came across Gamer Girl 2B, but originally I was going to do something along the lines of, I think, just like 2B, and I wanted to draw her booty. But yeah, I kind of like drawing things that are a little bit, you know, a little bit scandalous, but not necessarily outright like nudity. But that, and if I did, I wouldn't post nudity on my channel, so worry not. That would be on a separate account somewhere on the internet, probably, but haven't done anything like that yet. But anyway, I just wanted to make a drawing of her in a gaming chair. I mean, this kind of all built on itself as I was coming up with the sketch. I was like, oh, I could add some headphones. Oh, I could add the cat ear headphones. Like, I have those as well, so I was just kind of using mine as a reference. And then I was like, well, she could be eating a snack. She could be holding a PlayStation controller. Again, I used mine as a reference. And I wanted to add a little bit of a background for this because I've been trying to push myself to make finished pieces more, like rather than just character art. And they're in a white void or something. So I wanted to add her, like a little background of her sitting at her desk, which is kind of like a round style desk that wraps around her. And she's got multiple screens and monitors, and she's kind of turned toward us, you know, taken a second. So right now I have everything just really messily sketched in the background, but as you can see, I'm doing the shading I've just begun on her. And I try to keep my sketches very messy in the beginning, and then I start to clean up the sketch with a nicer one. And then once I'm happy with the nice sketch, I go in with the line art. And from there, everything just takes time. It just falls into place, but it takes time. You know, like coloring and shading builds on itself, and that takes time. But to me, like sometimes the most daunting part is just getting the sketch down, like figuring out how to make everything look good and what exactly you want to do. So oftentimes that's my biggest obstacle. And I find that making a finished looking sketch, which you'll see it popping up every now and then as I'm comparing it to what, you know, the way the drawing was going, comparing to see if it looked like my original sketch, I went in and I fully color the sketch because that really helps to plan out how I want the finished piece to look. And it's very low pressure when you're doing the messy sketch, because that is like just planning, just getting the idea down and just messing with things, and you don't have to worry about things looking too clean or this and that, and you can change things on a whim. If you don't like something, you can just draw right over it very easily because it's messy and this and that. So that is the fun phase, to kind of plan out. But yeah, I think the key to digital art, for me at least, or you know, what I've realized over time, is to properly plan out the drawing. Because in the past, when I used to do digital artwork, I did not typically do that. I would just kind of make a sketch and then I would just go from there. Or I would make a traditional sketch on paper, scan it in, put it into my art software, and be like, all right, that's the sketch, right? And I didn't really, you know, I made up colors and this and that as I went. But I find that when you play with lighting and you play with colors and different effects or whatever ahead of time, it really gives you that end goal in mind of where the drawing is heading, so that, you know, you're not just bumbling around making mistakes, forgetting to do certain things or forgetting to add certain details. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but hopefully it does. And yeah, I just find that lately I've been trying to make my sketches more complete with colors and lighting, because it really helps me to understand where I want to bring the piece, where I want it to go in the end, and gives you just like any extra guidelines are always good. And another tool that I actually used on Procreate, which I haven't used in the past, and I don't know why I haven't, because maybe I just didn't realize it was there. I think that's what it was. Is there's a drawing guide on Procreate, which I always use when I'm making like something symmetrical. You can have it once you're, you know, if you're drawing on one side, it'll help fill in the other sides. That way, like if you're drawing, I don't know, some kind of shape or a star or something that has to be very symmetrical, that's helpful. But there's also a perspective tool where you can drag it wherever you want to put it, and it basically makes the lines on the page in the direction of the perspective of the room or whatever you're trying to create. So I started using that here to get the perspective of her computers and her desk and things like that, and which direction I should put her posters, which if you realize or recognize, those are just other drawings that I've done. So I thought that would be a little cute thing to make her posters, just my artwork. And then for the screens that she's got going on behind her, I took like a screenshot from Final Fantasy on one of the screens. So, you know, because I'm pretty obsessed with Final Fantasy. I play it like every day and in my free time. So yeah, I figured I might as well throw a little nod to that in there. But yeah, the perspective tool was very helpful in doing the room. And I think I'm going to pay attention to more things like that, because sometimes it's very easy to make perspective look very wonky in your drawing, especially when you're doing backgrounds. And I think that's something which is a big part of why I don't do backgrounds very often, is because I'm always afraid of messing the perspective up. And I often do because I don't follow any guidelines or make guidelines for myself. So long story short, you know, use all the tools at hand, and it helps to make the piece more complete. But here I am just adding in some lighting, which is my favorite part because it really ties the piece together and really makes everything pop. And I went ahead and added a multiply layer to make things look a little darker, so that the lighting from her computer and everything around her, the glow looks a little bit more dramatic on her. So that's the goal there. And yeah, just putting the finishing touches, that is the piece. I hope you like it. I had a ton of fun doing this one. I think it took like 13 hours is what Procreate says of like drawing time. So that's one of my longer end of pieces, but this one did have a lot of detail and I just kind of went all in on it. So had my fun. I hope you like it. And as always, all of my links are in the description box below. The link to my online store, my Patreon pin club, Discord server, and Instagram. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys all in my next video, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye!